Hey everyone, Matt here from the Jimmy Lewis Off-Road Riding School, and today I want to tell you about the online beginner course that we have available right now at jimmylewisoffroad.com/online courses. This is a course that you can purchase and receive lifetime access to 10 lessons and 10 drills that I use when I'm teaching beginner riders out here in Pahrump, Nevada. These lessons and drills are designed to take anyone who has never touched a motorcycle before and have them riding safely and comfortably at the completion of this course. We've been developing this curriculum for quite some time, and with the feedback that we have gotten from real beginner riders, I feel comfortable in saying it is the safest and most comprehensive introduction to the sport that we all love. Now, if you've been riding for quite some time but want to help someone out who is just looking to get into the sport, you can purchase this as a gift and help give them this safe introduction. Again, this is all available at jimmylewisoffroad.com/online courses. Now, here's the show.
I'm Jimmy Lewis.
I'm Logan Tyler.
And this is the Better Rider podcast. So on today's episode, we have Logan Tyler.
Yes.
And how old are you now?
15.
15. How long have you been working for Jimmy Lewis Off-Road?
Since I was 12, so 3 years.
3 years. Like I said, that's like almost a quarter of your life. Like
Yeah,
a third of your life. I don't like math that much. So anyways, so Logan is one of our coaches here at the school, and you may be surprised that someone so young can be an effective coach. And we'll probably talk a lot about how he got there and what we kind of how we teach and train a little bit, and why someone even as young as Logan can help you become a better rider. So with that, if you're interested in learning more about our schools, you can find us at www.jimmylewisoffroad.com. We are on this podcast on our website. We have a lot of tips in the blog sections. Of course, there you can find out about our upcoming schools. And we oftentimes have people say there aren't any dates posted. Well, there's two reasons for that. It's really hot here in the summer when we're training out in Pahrump, but we also have a class up in the Pacific Northwest called CISPA Cycles, and they do training. They train with our curriculum up there. So if you're interested in a summertime class and you're ready to travel up there, that's an opportunity. And the other thing is classes often get sold out, so you don't see them on the website. Sometimes it says they're sold out, but the best thing to do is to sign up for our newsletter. It's really easy to do on the website. You just go to any of the pages, and off to the side, there'll be a place for you to sign up for the newsletter. So get on that newsletter. We don't send them out very often, but when we do, they're usually packed with good information. They have the newest class dates, and we usually send a little tip out, kind of like the nugget we're going to give you at the end of this podcast on lever adjustments. So we have try to always drop a little nugget of knowledge so you can, get paid back for listening to us. So Logan, when you were 12 years old or younger, actually, I think you were a little bit younger. I remember you and your dad were out riding. And this is when Big John was coaching with us on a regular basis. And you guys came out and sort of would visit the school on one of your rides around. And you were on what at that time?
KTM 65.
KTM 65.
Yeah.
You're still kind of dragging your feet around, wobbling a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you racing then?
Yes.
Kind of. So you started riding at what age?
Riding at 5.
And racing at?
Probably 8.
Okay. And what kind of racing did you do?
Works
racing.
Grand Prix style racing.
Right. And you're still continuing to do that to this day?
A little more desert and off-road.
Okay.
But still quite a bit of Grand Prix racing.
Right. And so I'm always looking for indentured servitude. Mm-hmm. And somehow I got a hold of you. And your dad signed you over.
Yes.
And said you could come out of the class. What was your first job at the Jimmy Lewis Off-Road training?
Pick up dirt bikes and learn what some of the responses are that coaches say to the students. Right.
And so you also got to wash bikes.
Yeah.
But you had to earn your way up to washing bikes too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the third time I got to.
They finally handed you the wand of the pressure washer. So anyhow, like a lot of the coaches, you can't just come and take the class and all of a sudden you understand our curriculum and you can coach. It takes time because the way that we teach is, I would say, significantly different than most other schools because we focus so heavily on the basics, where a lot of other groups tend to like leave stuff out. And you know this now from being able to coach with us. It's like it's a lot of times it's not exactly what you think the problem is. What does it always end up being?
Balance and traction.
So, and we didn't script this. I was hoping you were going to come up with the right answer, which is good. Yeah. So this is why he can coach, because it's funny when we're doing the drills and we have, generally have a 1-to-4, 1-to-5 student to coach ratio at the schools, and everybody's kind of watching out for the students. We're all watching for different things. And it's pretty often that you're going to have a coach ride up on you and start explaining something, telling you, hey, we see this, or this is what you're doing. And it's one of the reasons why the group classes are so effective is because of course, when we do the drill, like I'll go and demonstrate it, right? And when you go do it, you're doing it exactly like I do it, right?
Yes.
Or you're trying.
Trying. But
what are you really doing?
Mostly focusing on the students and
that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
but when you think you're doing the drill, you think you're doing it, but your body position isn't right, or you're not respecting, the balance of the traction and all these different things. But over the time, you've been coached up to pick up on what the real answer is. And a lot of times the answer at other places, and what we learn from our students that have gone to other schools, is that I go, well, they would tell me to just go a little bit faster. and it's funny because some problems go away when you go a little bit faster, because you get what? Momentum, inertia. And so all of a sudden your balance it seems like it's less of a problem, but just like it's more of a problem when you slow down, it's also more of a problem when you start trying to go fast. Same thing comes in. Instead of you start going faster, that out of balance becomes lack of traction. Or you're already using like some muscles to correct for that balance. And when something starts going wrong, then you don't have those muscles, the body positioning on the bike or whatever to kind of save the problem. So if you ever wonder, for instance, like when you go through sand and all of a sudden you have a problem, it's just showing you what?
That you're out of balance. And
and there isn't the traction to kind of hold you up anymore. All of a sudden the bike will react to that out of balance. And so kind of a little thing like, there is it does take some time for the coaches to learn the proper way, the way that we like to think is the proper way to teach. And it's awesome to have Logan at such a young age, who, the other funny thing about Logan, who, if you are familiar with some of the other stuff we do, we have a thing called Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, which is over at Dirt Bike Test. It's our kind of almost weekly show where we talk about, what do we talk about there, Logan?
The tech questions and dirt bikes and dirt bike related products.
Yeah, motorcycles and motorcycle related products. And he's my co-host on the show. He's the most awesome co-host because
I don't speak.
Well, you almost didn't. I was going to wait to see how long it took to prod you. We usually have a shocker collar on him. And we say, Logan, talk. So he doesn't say much. So when in the school, if Logan comes up to you and says something, it's going to be good. He's thinking about it. He's saving those words, and you're going to get some good advice from him. And I always like to tell the story that to people that don't know, or I laugh when it happens, is we get a lot of students, and whether it's Logan or some of the other coaches, oftentimes we call it coach shopping. Mm-hmm. And he knows this, where students will be riding around, and then they'll get some advice from one of the other coaches, whether it's Logan or Matt, my wife Heather, George or Jim, the guys that are currently doing our in-person classes. And So, a guy will be doing something. Let's just say he's, putting too much weight on the handlebars. And you'll ride up to him, and because you notice it, and you say, "Hey, you're putting too much weight on the handlebars." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, kid." Right? And then they'll find me, come over to me and say, "Hey, Jimmy, can you watch me?" You watch him for 10 seconds?
Yeah.
"You're putting too much weight on the handlebars." And they look at me and like, that's exactly what Logan said. And I go, "Yeah, that's why he's here." that's what he does. So in doing this, has it helped you improve your riding?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the biggest takeaways you have from learning how to be a coach?
I see what the most common problems are, and most of those affect me also. So I'm like,
Me too.
Yeah.
It's that's what that's why we teach them.
Yeah.
And so when so you work on them, and it's funny because do you ever feel like a broken record when you're out on the dry lake bed or over in the sand or in the gravel pit?
Yeah.
Because it's the same the same kind of things, and everybody just discounts the fact that it's pretty simple what you're doing wrong, and nobody's taken the time to explain it, or you can just, I think sometimes you can just muscle past it or momentum past it and run into kind of issues on that. So, and the other thing is you also, I've had you ride a whole bunch of different bikes, and is there something that you've noticed with the different bikes that would kind of help kind of prospective students about what kind of type of bikes to learn on and stuff? You know where I'm getting at with this?
Not really.
Well, you know how a lot of people come on their adventure bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see them 3 classes later, and then they're back renting a smaller bike.
Yes.
And this is one of the things that we kind of get kind of, they're like, "Oh, I want to learn adventure bike techniques." You know all the adventure bike techniques?
Yeah.
What are they?
Same as the small bike, dirt bike.
Exactly. So once you're off road, once you're in what we call a traction compromised situation, that is the techniques are all the same. It doesn't matter what you're on. And the interesting thing that we've also noticed is that the big bikes, although people perceive them to be harder to ride, they also are harder to learn on because they mask kind of what you're doing. You imagine you're a small guy. You're a small guy.
Yeah.
And you get on a big bike, you have less effect on it. So it doesn't show you what you're doing as quickly until it becomes a big problem and you have to pick it up. And so the smaller bikes tend to react a lot quicker to what you're doing. They show you what you're doing a lot quicker, and they don't the problems don't get exponentially worse exponentially quicker. If that makes a lot of sense. So that's kind of some of the things. Any other? You have any others? So yeah, this could be the shortest one ever, Logan, because you are full of you just want to talk, kind of like me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got anything else you want to tell anybody about?
Yeah. A lot coming.
A lot more coming.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to start talking later. It's like you're going to have your whole. You're going to say, "Hey, Jimmy, I want to do a whole episode of this pretty soon."
Probably not, but.
So, anyways, so is there anything else anybody else needs to know about you? This is your way to introduce yourself, because with our online coaching stuff that's going to be coming, people can request you as a coach, right?
Yes.
And then they want more than the yes answers. They want to get it. Well, actually, if you want it short and sweet, you're the guy to go to.
Yeah.
Yes. Just like that. Yeah. You should say, "Yes, I'll be short and sweet with that." So anyways, okay. So that's all you need to know about Logan. He'll probably be older every time you watch this episode, every time he comes back on. But like I said, we really do screen and vet our coaches quite a bit. We make sure that they have the right tool set to be able to coach you and, figure out what you're doing wrong and really try to identify the problems before they happen. Hey, one other thing I kind of want to bring up is, we have all these drills and all these techniques and ways to teach, but you know this probably as good as anybody. You've got to practice this stuff.
Yes.
I mean, it's like a magic wand. You wave and all of a sudden you feel better, but you have to think about it. And unless you keep practicing and make that stuff, what do we call it?
Instinctual.
Instinctual. Yeah. I would say instinctive, but instinctual. That works for me. You're not going to do it because when you're riding the stuff that we teach, we do not want you to have to think about it at all. It should just be the right way to do things. Just like, when you reach up to turn your ignition on your car, or now sometimes it's push a button, or which he knows because he's just getting his driver's license and getting stuff going. So that's the kind of levels that we want to teach. So with that, we're going to drop a nugget on you. What's our nugget for this time?
Lever adjustment.
Lever adjustment. And this is something that, for guys that have been riding forever, it's just you get on a bike and you know where you'd like your levers. But if you're a new rider, or maybe you've been riding for a long time and you haven't really thought about this, you should, because the levers do a number of things. Of course, generally, one is a clutch and one is a brake. Don't ask me which one's on which side because I keep forgetting, but I do know how to operate them. And there's a lot when we just say adjust your levers, people think, oh, well, is that like how far you pull them in, or is that the angle you can put them at? Well, it's all of those things. So in lever adjustment, let's just talk about what the levers do. So we think about the front brake lever, which is on the same side as the throttle, and we teach to operate them with 2 fingers. So you start thinking about like, where do I want that to engage? And it's a personal thing. There's not the best spot. And so I have small hands, and so I like smaller diameter grips, but I'm also very picky about where that lever, how far out it is to reach to it, when it starts to drag, when it starts to really put force on it, where it locks up. And I don't want it to be so far out that I have to open my hand up. I want to be able to kind of drop my fingers around it, and with my fingers just resting there, I'm not activating. If I just tense a little bit, it comes on a little bit more. And then right basically as it touches my knuckle, that should be where it would lock up, because I want to have the ability to lock up the front wheel if I want to. So it's not like a mystery, and I'm very particular. In fact, I did a test once where I would just hop on a bike and ride around. And if I came in and adjusted the front brake lever exactly where I wanted to, it was worth a few seconds a lap on a motocross track, which is a lot. That's you're buying a lot of time there. You can spend a lot of money on other modifications, and a couple little turns of a knob or a screw, you can make a big difference. So we'll talk about the clutch, exactly the same thing, to where when you wrap your fingers around it, 1 or 2 or however you want to do it, and you wrap it around, you don't have to reach for it, reach out and grab it, or extend your hand. Just bang, it's right there. And then as you slowly engage your fingers, you pull a little bit, that's engaged, that's disengaged, and that's popping it, and it's out and in. So you can have a lot of control, but if you have to really reach for it, that can be an issue. So setting it up so that if it pulls into my knuckles and it's still dragging, no good. It needs to be completely disengaged at that point. And it also, I don't want it out here because then it's hard to reach, really far out. Stuff seems very, very basic because it is, but it's also very, very critical. And then making sure that when you do pull on it, the cable or the hydraulic fluid, there's no air in the line, or, the cable isn't sticky any place. Same thing with the lever, the pivot is lubed, because these are inputs. So if you're having problems with this, you're putting a filter between what you want the bike to do and then what it's doing. It's taking a long time. It's like kind of like waiting for Logan to talk.
Yeah.
It's quickly. So that's a lot with the adjustment. And then the other thing is like on a lot of bikes, most bikes, you can actually rotate the levers on the handlebar. So it changes the position. Like, are they really far down? Like we find a lot of, what kind of riders have them really far down? Mountain bikers. They just tend to like their levers really far down. And then for a while there was people that were really into motocross were running their levers up kind of higher, because a lot of motocrossers were running their levers up high because most of them had bad wrists and they couldn't bend them down. They'd actually had fused wrists, and they were also thinking that, I want to be able to reach the levers when I'm off the back of the bike, which, if they're set up properly, you should be able to reach them anytime, whether sitting or standing. So it's kind of a compromise position, because you want them to be comfortable at all times. And if they're too far down, it puts your wrists kind of in an awkward position. Same thing when they're too far up. But everybody's built a little bit different. And you have the ability to play with this. Where the bend of the lever is, you can adjust that by sliding the lever around a little bit if you have the real estate on your handlebars. And I've seen some people put so much stuff on their handlebars that it compromises the position of their levers, and all of a sudden they don't have control of their brake or their clutch. So something to think about. And like I said, just knowing the levels that you can adjust them, and then start fine-tuning them for yourself. So when you hop on a bike, you right away know, okay, this feels comfortable, this is good. And one other thing, when I get on the bike, one of the first things I do is I ride a lot of different bikes. I hop on the bike and I actually reach out and I pull in the front brake to feel where it's at, and I pull in the clutch to find out where it's actually engaging. So if it's awkward, and a lot of times when I ride other people's bikes, especially riders with larger hands, I have a difficult time because I have to open my hand up to do that. And as much as we preach about having a light grip on the handlebars, I also want to be able to, when I need to, have a really tight grip on the handlebars and still operate the levers. So how could we make something so simple so complicated?
Yeah.
So there's Logan's answer. But you would know how to adjust somebody's lever.
Yes.
If they came up to you.
Yes.
Yeah. You just wouldn't say much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So with that, thanks, Logan, for sitting in on this one. We'll double your word count on the next one and bring you in on a later show for sure. And with that, I would like to say bye. And what do we always say?
See you out on the trail.
See you on the trail.